What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about Cha-Ching, Ash and Bones by Michael R. Fletcher. So, guys, this is book number 2 in the City of Sacrifice series. For those that are wanting a little bit more information about jumping into the series, just don't worry too much about spoilers. I keep these things fairly vague. But yeah. Man, after getting into this book, I'll tell you, I just, recently finished Smoke and Stone, and after finishing this one, this is just an amplified ride. Let's get into it. So in Ash and Bones, we are picking up right after the events of Smoke and Stone. We are returning to the ringed city of Bastion, and we will be following our characters of Nuru, the street sorcerer, and Akachi, the priest. Now, like I said, we are picking up right after the events of Smoke and Stone, so things are quite chaotic here in the city of Bastion, specifically in the Growers District. We know at this point now that the growers are kind of sick and tired of their oppression, and they are beginning to lash out. We will follow the priest sorcerer Akachi as he's waking up after the events of Smoke and Stone. He wakes up and he knows that he has been defeated. But this is when we start to see Akachi kind of tap. He struggles, but he also taps into, kind of his faith. We will see, Akachi really try to become one with his god, the god of hunt, the god of Cloud Serpent. And this whole deal kind of reinvigorates his motivation to get out there and to find these two women, which brings us to Nuru and Ephra. Now, these women are being hunted, but they're not defenseless whatsoever. They both are in very high favor with their gods, which makes them pretty powerful. They're also somewhat the ones spearheading this whole rebellion and chaos that's brewing within Bastion, and now we're watching them as they're making their way back inward through the rings of the city. Alright, so I'm going to keep it kind of short and sweet, and I want to just jump into some stuff right away. So the first thing I want to talk about is I'm going to start talking about a lot of these elements that I feel that Fletcher just amplified big time from coming off of Smoke and Stone. I really enjoyed Smoke and Stone, and I felt like it built really well, and the ending was just crazy bonkers. But here, I feel like he goes bonkers from beginning to end, and it's with all the elements. The descriptions in this book, I felt like were just bumped up a notch. All that grimy describing, just going for it, is in here in spades. There's just one of my favorite parts in this book is just when a character is, they're just trying to hold their guts in, and it talks about the intestines kind of spewing out and whatnot. I mean, it's gross, yeah, right? But it is so delicious, if that's what you're looking for, right? And that's what I'm looking for. And it's in there in spades, guys. Not to mention the magic. Like I said, Fletcher is kind of known for just having these crazy magic systems, but kind of slowly feeding them to you, and we definitely get a bigger bite here in book 2, and it's just, it pays off well, I think. It's just, if you're already interested in this world, in the magic system, and everything that's going on, you're just gonna get, like I said, a bigger piece of the pie, and it's just so dark and delicious. Working off of the magic and everything that he amplified, I would also say he really amplified the lore and just the display of gods here. Gods play a big role in this world, but we get to see them on display in full force, and it is so fucking cool. As well as the armies and creatures of the gods. I mean, we get the sky verm, or whatever it's called. The sky verm, I think it's like a fucking crazy dragon thing. Woo! Needless to say, Michael R. Fletcher bumped up a lot of things in this book. The elements show. I mean, it was something that it hit me almost right out the gate, and it consistently kept hitting. So it's not like it fell flat anywhere. He just really ramped it up from beginning to end, which gives this book such a great, refreshing feel, because none of it feels like second book syndrome. Now, I want to take a quick second and talk about the characters, or maybe just a little bit about the evolution of the characters of Nuru and Akachi. Certainly, in the first book, Akachi really comes at us as, very young, very juvenile almost. Even though he's put in a, position of responsibility, he still feels very much like a youth to us. I do feel like in this one, it feels like he's grown up some. As much as he still struggles a lot he just seems more mature. It does seem more of like a boy who has become a man through defeat. And like I said, Akachi is an interesting character because he's, by all means, he's the oppressor. He's the asshole fucker. He's the bad guy, so to speak. The thing is he's really also just a guy who really has 100% faith in his God and thinks that he's doing the right thing. Throughout this book, all the horrible, terrible shit that Akachi is doing or plans to do is really all based around his belief that he's saving Bastion, which brings us to Nuru, and Nuru is the street sorceress, and I do think that, especially coming off of book 1 and throughout book 2, the further we get into this story, Nuru kind of becomes the voice of reason. She's one of those characters that isn't tied up and isn't fanatical with faith. So she's really just coming at things from a logical perspective, though it's still everything is, her perspective is the one that's been shaped by her life experience in the Grower's Ring. So, it's one of oppression. And she is trying to do the right thing by herself and by the people that she cares about, as well as just people from the Growers District, period. Because she's trying to stop the oppression. She's trying to give freedom and a better life, something, you know what I mean? Because they've been denied everything. And she only feels like it's right that she shouldn't have to be stripped of everything and denied while other people, for no rightful reason, are walking tall and shitting in high cotton. Another nice touch that Fletcher did throughout the book is just, he sprinkles stuff in there, man. And I feel like if you're paying attention, you snag it and you see it and you're like, oh, I see what you did there. I feel like there was some, Oppenheimer quotes going on in here, which were really kind of a nice touch, when dealing with gods and death and all this stuff. I have become death, the destroyer of worlds kind of stuff. As well as if you are a fan of Fletcher's other work, I think you'll have a lot of fun with this book because, whether we could say it is or it isn't all tied together, there are certainly some Easter eggs in here for Fletcher fans. Ones that I just was like, what? Look, it's kind of a lot of those kinds of moments. So yes, if you're a fan of his books, man, you really got to get on the board and get into this one because you will have some aha moments. So it's really easy to see I like the book. I actually think it's an improvement upon book 1, which I liked that book too. I just think that this one is amplified and awesome as shit. But with that being said, I gotta try to be as objective as I can, and I want to say I think that the glaring con of the book is just some of the repetitive nature of the struggling that our characters go through. There is, one thing is this might be subjective though for a lot of people. Some people might really enjoy the nature of just kind of the continual struggle, and some people might find it a little cringy. I also think it's this is so tough because you're trying to put yourself in the character's shoes, especially when dealing with people that are fanatical or people that have been oppressed. These are people that live in their heads a lot and do struggle constantly. So it's kind of like, it's accurate, but it can kind of grind on you. I want to say that this didn't really show though until very late in the book. I didn't really notice the repetitive nature of the struggling until probably 3/4 into the book, but it is there. And I think that there will be other people that'll probably mention that as well. I don't think it's anything that took me out of the story. Like I said, I love this book. I'm just trying to be objective, and I do think out of all the stuff that people could pick apart, I think that that's going to be the number one con. So my 2 cents for the slow and the struggling is yes, Ash and Bones is totally for you, especially if you've already gotten into Smoke and Stone. You really owe it to yourself to continue the series. I do think that the main problem that struggling readers might have with this is just trying to stay focused. Michael R. Fletcher is telling you a very disorientating tale, and it deals with visions, drugs, all this shit kind of coming at you. So it can kind of be hard to tell if what you're reading is actually happening, hasn't happened yet, or is just some drug-induced shit. So it can be a little jarring at times just trying to grab your bearings. But I don't think it's so bizarre or so far out there that you will just lose track completely. I just think it is something that you might have to pay a little attention to where you're at, you know what I mean, so you don't get too far behind or too lost. But his writing style is something that you can definitely devour, and if you're looking for a dark and dastardly dark fantasy tale, woo, this one for sure. All right, guys, as always, thanks for spending some time down here at the channel, and to Michael R. Fletcher, a gadoosh, 2 thumbs up, buddy. Way to go, man. Way to bring the darkness on another level. This might be some of the best shit you've thrown at me yet, as far as it dripping with all the grime and guts. I fucking love that shit, man. You just keep it up, all right, sir? We salute you over here at Slowly Read. All right, guys. So, like I said, just thank you for spending some time down here. If you're new, please like and subscribe. It really helps me grow the channel. Throw a comment down in the section, guys. You know what I mean? Have a little fun. You know what time it is. Peace.